What is going on, everyone? We are here with another episode of the Spotlight series, hosted by yours truly, ACK. Y'all know the drill at this point, is we're just about at that 100 episode mark, and we're just only a couple inches away. So, I mean, obviously, you sports fans, obviously, you guys know I love sports. So, we're at the 5 yard line trying to get in for that touchdown, and that's what we're doing here. But we're getting down to the nitty gritty, and honestly, you guys just know the drill is there's new artists, new stories, new music, and that's what this whole thing is about. That's what this last 3 years have been, and it's just been so exciting. And I'm super excited for today's interview with Julia Larkin. Julia, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
And not too bad. I think I was just telling you before we hopped on here, is it's like been beautiful now. It's like sunny
Yeah,
and 70s, so like just enjoying the weather. And
yeah,
honestly, even if it's crappy weather, I just love doing these interviews, and I love that artists take time out of their day to be here. So thank you for being here
yeah.
to talk about your story today.
No, it was perfect because not to brag, but I went to the Taylor Swift concert last night. So it was a long night. I slept in, and so I blocked off my schedule for today, Sunday fun day, just relaxed. So it was
No,
perfect for
and
this.
that's awesome. I'm super jealous that you went to T Swift, honestly. Like,
It was amazing. It was
Uh,
amazing.
no, that's awesome. But so really kind of just hopping right into the first question is always the basic of basics, and it really just kind of sets up the whole interview. Is where did everything kind of start for you, singing and playing wise? Because I know for some people, it starts the day they were born. They start humming those nursery rhymes, and then eventually they get that first guitar, that first piano. But then I also like to compare it to someone like myself who only started songwriting and producing back in 2018. So that was only about 5 years ago now. But for you,
Yeah.
where did everything kind of come about?
I have kind of a weirder story. So it did start when I was younger. My dad played guitar by ear and he wanted me to play guitar, and I loved Taylor Swift. And so he got me my first guitar, put me in lessons. And then throughout middle school and high school, I did a bunch of all the talent shows and whatnot. And I always had this dream. I always knew music is what I wanted to do as a job, is for my life. Um, Now, as I got a little bit older, when I was about to go to college, I kind of kept switching my major. I'm like I really want to do music, but like, is it realistic? And I had, my mom's telling me like, it might not be realistic. Like, you should probably think of some other options. So I actually went into healthcare, and I became a dental hygienist. So that's actually like the day job that I do. So I became a dental hygienist, and 2 years into cleaning teeth, and I love my job. I mean, I like my job. I enjoy the patients. I like helping people, but I always knew deep down, like, this is not what I'm meant to do. I kind of felt it tugging on me. Like, this can't be it. This cannot be it. So 2 years in, I was like, I need to move to Nashville. I discovered country music, a lot of artists like Maren Morris, Kelsey Ballerini, Casey Musgraves, people like them that were very inspiring to me. And I decided to move to Nashville. So I got a little bit of a later start because I kind of like gave up halfway, I guess. So I moved here a year and a half ago. And now I'm 26, and I'm just doing the damn thing.
No,
So
and honestly, those are the best stories because I always say is you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Mhm.
And if you want to, honestly, when you're sitting there, whether you're like me up in Boston or you're out in God knows where, but you're sitting there and you have your day job, but you also have music part time, and that's just what it's meant to be, and that's how it is for me. Is eventually I just need to pull the trigger and go down and just move down there and call it a day. I went down for the first time last year, and I mean, I've always had so many friends down there and stuff like that down in Nashville, and it's such an amazing place. But if that's really what your heart desires, like that's the place that you need to be. And I mean, you've just been killing it for the time that you've been down there, and I'm a huge fan, and that's why obviously you're here today.
Yeah, life is just too short. You really, like, when you really sit down and think about it, it's like you only have one shot at doing what you want in your life. So why not just give it a try? I mean, the worst that could happen is it doesn't work out. Or, I mean, it may not work out how you pictured it in your mind, but success can look so different when you get there. So I'm
Exactly.
just working towards that every day.
No, exactly. And I mean, you already listed a few kind of inspirations that you kind of had when you started moving down to Nashville and stuff, but that's kind of my second question to dive a little more into because I always tell people is I've been doing 100 episodes now, and like I hope one day that maybe Chris Daughtry will hear this. I have met him
I
before, but
love
like
Chris Daughtry.
I literally one of my all-time favorite artists easily. Like I love
He's
Chris Daughtry,
so good.
love him so much. And then I mean Garth Brooks, hopefully maybe one day he'll like see this and give me a call, but that's only a pipe dream. But I mean, there are so many inspirations out there, especially when it comes to being able to sing and when it becomes able to write a song. Like there's a lot of people that you can really look up to say like, hey, like this person like really motivated me to do this. But for you, who are some of those artists that you really look up to and what really draws like inspiration from them?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously Taylor Swift is a huge one. Just her lyricism and the fact that she writes almost all of her music is extremely inspiring to me. I actually have a lot more like rock and pop influences from my family. I did not grow up on country music at all. Like I didn't listen to country music until about 5 years ago. The only country music I listened to was Taylor Swift when she was country.
Yeah.
So, and Paramore, same thing with Haley Williams from Paramore. Like she writes all of her own music, extremely inspiring. I mean, she's just a killer vocalist. I love Alanis Morissette. I love Fleetwood Mac. Those are kind of the big ones for me. And I love classic rock too, like Metallica. Like that's a huge one that I thank my dad for because I love Metallica. Like I would
Yeah.
really see them in concert. Like that would be so cool.
No, absolutely. And it's always cool when people name different genres of music too, because I love every artist that's come on, but like I always hate the answers that are like, oh, like just like they name like seven country artists because they are
Yeah,
country artists, and I get that. But like I tell people all the time is there's four lanes on the highway for a reason because you can merge and switch and go wherever you want and go at your own pace. If you want to stay in that
right.
one country lane, then fine, but you can go over to the left and go into that rock lane. You can go over
Right.
to the right lane and go into that R&B lane. So it's always really cool because I just always encourage people never box yourself in. There is so much music out there that you can gain inspiration from and that you can try for yourself too because you don't know unless you try.
And I don't think there's rules on music. I think, especially in country music, there's some sticklers that really like to make country music in a little box, and like it shouldn't be. I think it's really evolved a lot, and I'm definitely a fan of the newer stuff because it's so different, and I think that's what makes music stand out is how different it is. And I think what drew me to country music is definitely like the storytelling aspect. I think that's really cool, but also the instruments. Like I love real instruments. So I think that's what I want to take from country music is that like the real instruments, putting it into my music. Um,
Right.
but I think, I don't know, I feel like I'm having a little bit of an identity crisis. It's really easy to get like caught up in what you think you should be sounding like. So um, I feel like I'm probably gonna like start switching lanes next year as I start to really like evolve and open up into my sound because I don't feel like I've really truly found my sound yet. I'm still figuring it out, but that's exciting. You get to kind of just discover new things.
No, exactly. And you get to just go through all those genres and figure out really what feels at home for you and just what you reminisce with. And obviously, getting into the third question, it's always one of my favorites. And it's talking about the creative process because I love being able to sit there and tell a good story when I write a song. And like, that's how I connect with artists is like, I always tell people, it's like, I don't just bring any artists on just to bring artists on. Like, I look for those artists that tell stories and that are passionate about what they are doing in their music career. And obviously, as a songwriter and singer, there is no rhyme or reason to the songwriting process sometimes. Like
No, there's not.
there's no book on how to songwrite for dummies or anything like that, but I always have to quote Brick Walker, who was on the show, and he said it perfectly: "Is the songwriting process is like a puzzle. Whether you have that 100-piece puzzle, 200-piece, you have it all scattered on the table, trying to figure out what fits where. And
Right.
eventually, you start putting that border together, you start putting the middle together, and by the end, you have that full masterpiece." And you can share that with everyone. But for you, is where, not where, but what is your creative process like when it comes to songwriting?
It really changes. So like sometimes, I mean, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and have or I'll be falling asleep actually, and I just start thinking of lyrics. So I'm literally like, my eyes are closed, like I'm trying to go to sleep. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I really should just like type it in my notes. So I'll grab my phone and I'll like type it down, and I'll get a bunch of like lyrics. I'll get like maybe 4, 5, 6 couple lines, and then the next day I'll just go and like start playing music to them and put melodies together. And then it just starts to formulate. And then sometimes I just start playing the guitar. I come up with a cool chord scheme that I like, and I just start humming over it. And I'll have a melody, but I'll need lyrics. So then I'll start to think, and I'll just start like coming up with lyrics. So it can really happen anyway. And I think coming to Nashville, it was hard because co-writing is huge, and I had never co-written before. So it was great, but it also made it a little bit more difficult because now I kind of question everything I do. There's so much that goes into songwriting, and when I moved here, I felt like my songwriting was good, but then you get in front of other people and you create songs with other people and you're like, damn, like this is good. So now it makes my other songs like not look good, and like, oh, I could have done this here and this there. So you kind of start to question yourself a little bit and overthink it. Um, but it's also just really fun because, like you said, with the puzzle, it is like a puzzle. And when you co-write with people, they're filling in those missing pieces that maybe you couldn't find, and they see it from a different way that you couldn't find. So I actually prefer co-writing now. I think it's more fun, and it's a little easier in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I'll come up with a lot of like half songs. I'll do like a first verse and a chorus. And then I'm like, all right, now I don't know what to do. And I bring it to a couple people. I'm like, let's do something with this. So
Yeah, no, and it's always cool too because like some people start with the lyrics and then they worry about the melody later, like myself. But then there's other people out there that start like playing all these instruments and start figuring out the melodies, and then I'm like, okay, well, where are the lyrics? And they're like, oh, we haven't figured that out yet. And like it's just there are so many different ways to do it, and it is such a hard thing too, especially when you're down in Nashville. You're with people that have been writing for 10 times the amount of years that you've been writing, and you go into these rooms and you're like, oh, I've never done that before. Like, what is this? Like, how do I do this? And like, what's going
right.
on? And then it does really make you question yourself. But I mean, I've listened to a few of your originals that you've posted and stuff like that and what you've done. And obviously, you have your single out, which is Toy. And honestly, you're an amazing songwriter. Like, I love what you do to tell your stories. And I believe another one that I was just like, I'm obsessed with right now, just low key, is Not Even My Ex, I think is the.
Me too.
No, that hits so different. Like I found that on your, I think I was scrolling through TikTok and I was like doing a deep dive like I always
Yeah.
do. And like I saw that, and like from the first verse to like right when like it like pauses for a second and then you go right, Not Even My Ag, like it just bam, like I'm just like instantly hooked. Like I can't wait for you to like release that or do something with
Oh,
that,
well,
honestly.
so that was a co-write. There was 4 of us. It's my friend Molly Lovett, Amy Asher, and Megan Wilder. So it was mostly Molly's idea. Like she came up with the idea and she decided that she wants to cut it. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, I will not be releasing the song. But at the same time, it's my first cut as a songwriter. So that's also like really exciting for me. So yes, I'm bummed because I absolutely love the song, but I'm really excited for her. And I mean, it's a really cool feeling to get my first cut. So
Exactly. And I mean, it's got to be cool too. Like you have your own song out there too, which is
yeah.
amazing. I remember when I released my first song, and like it's such a really cool experience just to be like, hey, like people go check out this song that I have. And I mean,
Yeah.
that song has done so well. You have over 100K streams on it. And I
Yeah, I
mean,
know. It's crazy.
it's like it's better than like my like 5,000 that I have. So I mean, like listen, like all the credit to you. Like I said, you're such a talented artist, and I just love what you're doing with your music.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, of course. And it's kind of getting to the fourth question, which is always my favorite question, and it's always the hardest question that I do ask on the show, but there are hundreds and thousands of artists out there. Obviously, you know firsthand being down in Nashville, you kind of have that, but even on social medias, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all that fun stuff, the minute you go to hit that post button to promote your music, there's 1,000 other artists hitting that post button at the same time as you. And it's hard to really just be like, hey, like, this is me, this is who I am. So, kind of my question for you is what makes you you compared to all these other artists, and what can we take away from your music that we're not going to find in other artists' music?
I think, I mean, especially at least for right now, starting in country music and pop country music, I think I bring a little bit of an edge that isn't often seen. And I think I can equate that to my background in other music, growing up with other music and having a little bit of like rock flair sprinkled in there. And I think it makes my sound a little different. I've had some people say that they were like, "Oh, this is country," and I'm like, "Yeah." So it's very interesting. So I'm just gonna try to keep making music that feels like me, and I think that's gonna make me stand out. I think it's when you gotta just like focus on how you feel, because when you start looking outside and looking at other people and like maybe trying to copy what other people are doing, that's when you lose your uniqueness. And um so I think that's what's going to make me stand out. And I feel like I really sing with feeling, and that's what makes people relate to it too, is they can tell like I'm really feeling this when I'm singing it. That's, I mean, at least people have told me that after they've heard me perform. So
Yeah, and no, and I mean, listening to a lot of your originals and all your covers that you do and stuff like that, like your vocals are just they're so pure and they're so raw and authentic. And I think that's honestly really what makes you stand out because like I when I go to do my research on artists, like to have them on the show, like I just go on TikTok, I go on Instagram and I just start scrolling through and when I find an artist,
yeah,
like I sit there and look and honestly, low key, like you're one of my more favorite artists that I have found recently just because of how pure and authentic that your vocals are. And you're able to sit there and tell the stories and pull the audience in with your music.
thank you.
No, of course. And it's kind of getting almost to the fun part here is we're gonna hear something from you so we can get to those vocals and stuff like that and your storytelling. But kind of looking towards your future a little bit. With this last question is what are some of your short-term and long-term goals and just what else can we expect down the road from you?
Short-term goals is to definitely release a ton more music. I have 2 more songs coming out this year, and then I'm trying to plan out at least 4 for next year. I just want to keep kind of banging them out and just seeing what feels right. So that's super exciting. I want to do some more full band sets. I've only done like 2 or 3 full band, and I mean the energy with playing with a full band as opposed to just acoustic by yourself is so much fun. So I want to do a lot more of that this year. And then long-term goals, I would really love to start kind of touring a little bit. So I don't know how much you know about, being an independent artist, but when you tour, so to speak, you're doing it on your own. You're booking shows on your own and just basically going to other cities and states and just playing like cover gigs and original music as well.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to start doing that, get myself out there, and then eventually, start opening up for a lot bigger acts. I mean, it's a slow process. I see why they call it a 10-year town. It takes time. I mean, not only just building up the fan base, but like building up the confidence and the skill set is huge. Especially for someone like me who took basically a 7-year break from music. And then I just hit the ground running. I moved here and I was like, you know what? Just gonna do it. um, I mean, and that was really hard. I took voice lessons. I was like working really hard, just trying to catch myself up. And I still get like stage fright. Like you won't really see it, but on the inside, I'm dying. It's gotten better though. It's gotten a lot better. But I'm excited to be more comfortable and confident and just see how much I grow in the next couple of years. Cause I've already grown so much in a year and a half. It's insane. So, I'm very excited for the future.
No, and I mean, like I said, just listening to a lot of your originals and stuff like that, obviously listening to Toy that's out on all streaming platforms, I'm a huge fan and I just can't wait to see what else you're going to do. And I always love when artists say that they're going to go touring because I say, yeah, Boston's only right up here. So you can come on up and I'll be in the front row jamming out
I
to
would
whatever
love
you're
to.
singing. But no, I just look forward to what else is going to come for you. And now, honestly, it's getting to the fun part of the interview, which is hearing a song from you.
Yeah.
So normally what I'll do is I'll just put myself on mute if you want to just let us know what song you're doing, kind of how this song came about. And other than that, the floor is yours.
Great. Okay. Um, so I was gonna play my debut single, but I actually kind of want to promote my new song that's coming out in around July. So I just finished up I did a photo shoot for it, and then I just need the single to be mixed and mastered. So it should be around July is when it comes out. But it's called Same Old, and all I'll say is that it's just dedicated to the person that never seems to change. And I wrote this with my good friends Haley Payne and Tara, and I highly suggest that you look them up too because they are great artists. So here we go. Hope you like it. Also, my guitar's a little out of tune right now, and I lost my tuner, so bear with me. You're still driving that same old car, boy, that took me home from the same old bar where we would always go back when I didn't know you get around town, but you never get that far. Probably drinking that same old beer, John Mayer concerts every single year. You haven't changed a bit. I'm the only thing you quit. Unlike you, boy, your bad habits never disappear. Same old lies to a new believer. Same old eyes won't cry when you leave her. Yeah, your hair will get gray. Another candle on your birthday cake. Some things get better with age, but you won't. You'll still be the same old. You'll still be the same old. Go ahead, update the picture on your ID. Might get a new place in Middle Tennessee. Yeah, you can change it all. Summer can turn to fall, but baby, you will always be telling the same old lies to a new believer. Same old eyes won't cry when you leave her. Yeah, your hair will get gray. Another candle on your birthday cake. Some things get better with age, but you won't. You'll still be the same old. You'll still be the same old. Getting older don't seem to do much to help. No, no. Getting over the hill won't get you over yourself. Only time will tell. Same old lies to a new believer. Same old eyes won't cry when you leave her. Yeah, you never get gray. Another candle on your birthday cake. Some things get better with age, but you won't. You'll still be the same old. You'll still be the same old. You'll still be the same old. Oh yeah. You'll still be the same old.
I mean, my favorite part is always when I get to put myself on mute and like jam out to the songs because if when I start singing, glass starts like cracking and breaking and all that fun stuff. But I mean, you sent those lyrics over the other day and like I was just like I was so excited just to hear how the melody was going to come together with your vocals and everything and I just love that. And I mean, my favorite line I think out of all of that, I don't have it pulled up and I'm going to screw it up, but so bear with me and correct me when I'm wrong about it, but you're telling the same old lies to a new believer. Like I love that. I love how that line works.
Yes. Yeah. So basically, maybe we're not together anymore, but you're not going to change for the next person. You're still going to be the same old you.
Yeah.
So
No, and I mean, I love that song, and like I said, your vocals are just so pure, they're so authentic, and you're able to just tell a story with everything that you write. And again, I love what you're doing, and I just can't wait to see what else happens for you.
thank you. I'm super excited. Super excited.
No, of course. So kind of before I do my little outro here and everything, where can people go check you out on social medias?
So for my first single, that's on all streaming platforms, so you can find that anywhere.
Mhm.
There's also a music video for that I shot, so that's on YouTube. Now social media, you're gonna find me on TikTok and Instagram, Julia Larkin Music. Facebook, I really just mostly use for my family. So honestly, I probably, I should probably really like get on there more for music, but I honestly am not. And then I have my website, julialarkinmusic.com, and that lists all my upcoming shows, upcoming music, all that fun stuff. So yeah.
Awesome. I mean, people definitely go check her out. Again, Julia, just thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here and talk about your story through music.
Thank you for having me. It was so nice to meet you, and I look forward to talking to you in the future.
No, of course. So that kind of concludes another episode of the Spotlight series hosted by yours truly, ACK. Y'all know the drill at this point is Sundays, 1 p.m. Eastern. We got new music, new artists, new stories. Never know who's going to pop through. And hopefully next time I come back, we'll be over 100 episodes. So y'all stay tuned for next week. And thanks for tuning in today.